Making the headlines tonight. Prime Minister Hun Sen has warned Malaysia's foreign minister not to be too arrogant after saying that his visit to Myanmar was arbitrary and unsuccessful. Foreign Minister Prak Sokhonn briefed the EU High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy on plans to form the Friends of Myanmar initiative for the provision of humanitarian assistance and support. Austria's conservative-led government has announced a national lottery to encourage vaccination against COVID-19. The Australian Lawyers Alliance has said the decision to cancel tennis superstar Novak Djokovic's visa reveals the broad godlike power Australia's immigration minister wields. And new developments in technology allow these robot dogs to walk over any terrain just like people or animals. This is the Daily Roundup on EAC News Channel. A very good evening to you. I'm Darshana Gochan. Prime Minister Hun Sen has warned Malaysia's foreign minister not to be too arrogant after saying that his visit to Myanmar was arbitrary and unsuccessful. Malaysian Foreign Minister Saifuddin Abdullah had given an interview to reporters in Kuala Lumpur on 13th January, saying that the ASEAN chair, Prime Minister Hun Sen, should have consulted other ASEAN members first before departing on his trip to Myanmar. While speaking at a meeting with Indonesian President Joko Widodo this morning, Prime Minister Hun Sen asked Indonesian Foreign Minister Retno Marsudi to send a message to the Malaysian Foreign Minister to not be too arrogant because he has made remarks that can be considered inappropriate coming from other ASEAN leaders to the ASEAN chairman. Prime Minister Hun Sen said that he considered the language used by Foreign Minister Saifuddin Abdullah to be undiplomatic, arrogant, and untrue. He further informed the Indonesian side that his visit to Myanmar had achieved some tangible results, such as the extension of the ceasefire until the end of 2022 and the provision of humanitarian assistance to the people of Myanmar, which helps pave the way for the special envoy of the ASEAN chair, the ASEAN Secretary General, the ASEAN Food Center in charge of humanitarian assistance, disaster relief, and relevant UN agencies. He added that he already has some other ideas for the work ahead regarding Myanmar, but has decided to let the ASEAN foreign ministers continue this work instead. He expressed hope that all ASEAN foreign ministers would meet in the near future to discuss some of these initiatives. Prime Minister Hun Sen paid an official visit to Myanmar as the 2022 ASEAN chair on 7th to 8th January to help find a solution to the ongoing crisis and bring the country back to ASEAN after almost a year of national conflict. A spokesman of the Ministry of Interior, Keo Sopeok, told EAC News that the ministry has decided to permanently ban an American lawyer named Jared Genser from entering Cambodia after lying to authorities about the purpose of his visit to the country. EAC News reporter Sraipor Kong has more.
On 7 December, as the Cambodian court resumed its hearing on Cambodian American human rights activist Saint Thierry, George Genser, an international human rights lawyer from America, attacked the court and the royal government of Cambodia, stating that a theatrical hearing was being held and that the Cambodian government would have more problems if Saint Thierry is convicted. Ministry of Interior spokesman Keo Sopeok stated that this was unacceptable and said that he believed Genser despises Cambodia and its state institutions. George Genser is a lawyer and professor of law at Georgetown University Law Center. He is a friend of Saint Thierry, who is currently on trial in Cambodian court for conspiracy to commit treason for backing Sam Rainsy return to Cambodia and plan to stage protests on 9 November 2019. Sraipor Kong, EAC News.
Cambodian Foreign Minister Prak Sokhonn briefed the EU High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy and European Commission Vice President Josep Borrell Fontelles on plans to form the Friends of Myanmar initiative of Brunei Darussalam for the provision of humanitarian assistance and support to Myanmar. In a telephone conversation held with the EU High Representative for Foreign Affairs on Thursday, 20th January, Foreign Minister Prak Sokhonn highlighted Cambodia's efforts to resolve the crisis in Myanmar in accordance with the 5-point consensus and the ASEAN Charter, and based on Cambodia's past experiences. He also announced plans to form a Friends of Myanmar group focusing on humanitarian aid, seeking support, and the participation from the European Union. During the meeting, the High Representative of the EU acknowledged that the situation in Myanmar is complex and difficult, expressed his concern, and sought Cambodia's plan to resolve the situation. Although there has been little response from senior EU officials regarding the Friends of Myanmar initiative, Foreign Minister Prak Sokhonn wrote on his Facebook page that both Cambodia and Europe have stressed the importance of finding a solution to the crisis in Myanmar. The Friends of Myanmar initiative was started by Brunei Darussalam during the country's 2021 ASEAN chairmanship to mobilize countries to help Myanmar, especially in the provision of humanitarian assistance. During the inauguration ceremony of National Road No. 5 from Battambang to Sere Sapon in Bante Minche province on 10th January, Prime Minister Hun Sen urged Japan to join the Friends of Myanmar group. Japan, in turn, has shown support for Cambodia's policies to improve the situation in Myanmar. The Cambodian Ministry of Foreign Affairs has expressed concern over the armed clashes in the capital of Kaya State between the Myanmar military and the armed rebel forces, calling on all parties to come to a ceasefire, end all violence, and maintain the highest tolerance. EAC News reporter Straipor Kung has more details.
In a statement issued on Thursday, 20 January, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs said that it considered the recent clashes between the Myanmar military and the rebel forces have affected the progress made during Prime Minister Hun Sen's recent working visit to Myanmar. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs recalled Prime Minister Hun Sen had stressed that based on the experience and lesson learned from the Cambodian peace process, complete peace and national unity could not be achieved without the full participation and consensus of all stakeholders. The ministry further called on all parties involved in the conflict to exercise restraint and initiate a dialogue to create favorable conditions for the restoration of peace in the countries, which could pave the way for the implementation of the ASEAN 5-point consensus. Kaya State is a state in eastern Myanmar adjacent to Mae Hong Son province, Thailand. On 8 and 9 January 2022, the Myanmar military launched airstrike on Loikot City, forcing thousands of people to flee their homes. According to news site The Irrawaddy, more than 300,000 people in Kaya State have been displaced by fighting after the February coup, and most of the Loikot population of about 150,000 continue to flee the Myanmar military's airstrike attacks. Soipokong, EAC News.
The Cambodian Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation has condemned the attack on an oil depot in Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates, which claimed the lives of civilians and damaged property. A foreign ministry spokesman described the attack as reprehensible and calls for an end to all violent acts that endanger regional peace, stability, and security and harm civilian lives. Earlier this week, a drone claimed by the Yemeni Houthi rebels attacked a major oil refinery in Abu Dhabi, which sparked a fire at Abu Dhabi's international airport, killed 3 and injured 6. The Kuntia Bopha Foundation of Cambodia announced that they received more than $19 million in donations in 2021. This was around $1 million less than the total funds the foundation received in 2020. EAC News reporter Chamrong Ritisit has more.
According to a press release issued on Thursday, the Kuntia Bopha Foundation has already transferred nearly $4.6 million to the 5 Kuntia Bopha hospitals in Cambodia to maintain the sustainability of the examination and treatment services for children in the country for free. The Kuntia Bopha Foundation of Cambodia was established by Prime Minister Hun Sen and his wife Bunrani Hun Sen on 11 April 2018 to mobilize donations and contributions from all legal sources for the purpose of supporting the sustainability and operation of the 5 Kuntia Bopha hospitals in the Kingdom of Cambodia. In 2020, the Kuntia Bopha Foundation received a total of $21 million in charitable contributions, including 40 billion reals from the royal government, $2 million from the Angkor Resort ticket fee, $1 million from the Cambodian Red Cross, and general donations of about $4 million. Chamrong,
រតិសិត EAC News
EAC News.
។
អរគុណលោកនាងកញ្ញាដែលបានតាមដាន video នេះ រហូតដល់ចប់ ហើយសូមអរគុណសម្រាប់ការតាមដាន និង subscribe របស់លោកនាងកញ្ញាដែលបានចូលរួម comment និង share នៅ video នេះ ជាមួយ channel របស់យើង សូមអរគុណ
A group of young people have created a new social networking app called Roundup, which compiles information on tourist hotspots in Cambodia and doubles as a social media platform for travel enthusiasts. The concept of this platform was first launched in 2020, and the app was made available for download in app stores in 2021. The app developers say that they hope to bring together Cambodian travel enthusiasts to share their experiences, as well as present new interesting destinations in the country. EAC News reporter Sraipor Kong has more.
The founder of Roundup, a fellow travel enthusiast himself, Soviet Pech, said that the creation of this mobile app not only brings together travel enthusiasts, but also support the Cambodian tourism industry.
Over here in Cambodia, in Khmer word, it means show off, but we show off in the positive way. It's not in the negative way. When we have something like beautiful, like tourism in Cambodia, it is beautiful. It is very like amazing. Why don't we just show off? Why we hire? We should show to everyone, show to international to see our beautiful Cambodia. That's why we name it Roundup.
The Roundup is available for download on the iOS App Store and Google Play Store. Through the app, users can post their personally made tours and also promote travel products. Soviet added that the platform has a dual appeal for both traveler and business owner, as it will provide a taste of local travel, as curated by Cambodians, but will also act as a platform for business owners to advertise their services and products. The Roundup has so far been downloaded by more than 5,000 people and has received 3 awards, including Green Industry Award, the Khmer Enterprise Award, and the Award of Khmer Tourism for Future Incubation. Soviet expect that this app will be more popular not only for Cambodians but also for foreign tourists. He added that he and his team were confident that the app would be successful because of their shared passion and belief that technology can support Khmer tourism, and also because they have a very clear plan for their startup future.
We are confident that our app is gonna be very successful because there are 2 reasons. The first one is that our team is very passionate. We are a technology team that believes that technology could support Khmer tourism, and we create what as you see in our app. It is very like smart app. And the second reason is that we have a very clear plan for our startup. So it is very like combined between like entrepreneurship and also technology to make plan that very successful for us and our country.
Sraipor Kong, EAC News.
Cambodia has reported 42 new COVID-19 cases. This includes 12 imported cases. There have been 18 patient recoveries and once again, 0 deaths. Cambodia recorded another jump in Omicron cases today, as local cases again outnumbered imported cases. With 30 new cases, the total number of local Omicron cases has reached 152. The kingdom also recorded 12 imported cases of the new variant. Cambodia has now recorded 515 cases of Omicron, 363 imported, and 152 community cases. Cambodia's COVID-19 case tally has now climbed to 120,956, and the death toll stands at 3,015. The number of patients treated successfully since the pandemic reached Cambodia is 117,180, and the tally of imported cases has climbed to 20,220. Healthcare workers are currently treating a total of 728 patients. A Ka-52 Alligator combat reconnaissance and attack helicopter is seen for the first time during flight testing conducted by the Russian Air Force of the Southern Military District at a military aerodrome in the Rostov region near the Ukrainian border on Wednesday, January 19, 2022.
The new helicopters are a modernized version of an older Ka-50 Black Shark type. According to the Russian Ministry of Defense, the latest avionics and improved battle assault systems allow the helicopters to engage in combat at any times of the day and in any weather conditions. The arrival of new alligators comes amid escalating tension on the Ukrainian border, with Russia massed tens of thousands of troops, raising fears of an invasion and prompting warning from the West.
A million reasons to get jabbed in Austria. Austria's conservative-led government has announced on Thursday, January 20th, it was introducing a national lottery to encourage holdouts to get vaccinated against the coronavirus. hours before Parliament was due to pass a bill introducing a national vaccine mandate.
Austria's lower house of parliament has passed a bill on Thursday making COVID-19 vaccinations compulsory for adults as of February 1, bringing Austria closer to introducing the first such sweeping coronavirus vaccine mandate in the European Union. Roughly 72% of Austria's population is fully vaccinated against COVID-19, one of the lowest rates in Western Europe. New daily infections surged to a new record on Wednesday as the extremely contagious Omicron variant spread further, but the government wants to avoid another national lockdown since the country has emerged from its fourth one only last month. Chancellor Karl Nehammer has said that they have earmarked up to 1 billion euros for the vaccination lottery, and he believes it's totally justified to spend that amount of money. Nehammer has said he wanted there to be a financial reward for those who get vaccinated. Members of the public, whether already vaccinated or not, would get a ticket for each shot they have had, 3 tickets in total for those who have had their booster shot. Every 10th ticket would win a €500 or $568 gift voucher, without specifying what the vouchers were for. The lower house of parliament has passed a bill on Thursday making vaccines compulsory for all adults in Austria, with initial fines of €600 rising to up to €3,600 if the fine is challenged unsuccessfully. Austria will be the first European Union country to introduce a COVID vaccine mandate for all adults when the measure takes effect on February 1.
British lawmaker Christian Wakeford, who defected from the Conservatives to Labour this week, has revealed on Thursday, January 20th, the government had threatened to withhold funding for a new school in part of his constituency if he refused to vote with the government.
Christian Wakeford, the Labour MP for Bury South, and has been an MP continuously since December 2019, claims of being threatened come after a senior Conservative lawmaker has accused the British government of intimidating and attempting to blackmail lawmakers they suspected of wanting to force Prime Minister Boris Johnson out of power.
I was threatened that I would not get the school for Radcliffe if I didn't vote one particular way. This is a town that's not had a high school for the best part of 10 years. And how do you feel when holding back a regeneration of a town for a vote? It didn't sit comfortably, and that was really that kind of starting to question my place where I was and ultimately to where I am now.
In response to the allegation, Prime Minister Boris had said he had seen no evidence, heard no evidence to support any of those allegations, issuing an earlier statement from his office which said if there was evidence, the allegation would be looked at. Wakeford has mentioned the threat, didn't see comfortably, and stated to make him question his position in the party before he defected to Labour. Prime Minister Boris Johnson, who won a large majority in 2019, is facing growing sale to step down over a series of scandals, including admitting he had attended a party at his Downing Street office at a time when Britain was under a strict COVID-19 lockdown. UK's Premier is currently facing an investigation into the lockdown-breaking party by Sue Gray.
And now for a look at news making international headlines this Friday, 21st January.
A bomb blast has ripped through a crowded market in eastern Pakistan on Thursday, January 20, killing 3 people and wounding almost 30. A police spokesman, Arif Rana, has recalled it was a bomb, time device rigged to a motorcycle exploded outside the shop in the market. A 9-year-old boy is among the 3 dead, he has confirmed. A resident who was witnessed the explosion has said he was around 12 feet or so away from the place, but the blast was so severe that people didn't know what had happened. Then, the fronts of some shop caught fire, and a couple of the shop assistants were injured. A man in the house died. A child was passing by. Both his legs were blown off. He also said he rushed to pick him up, but he was dead. It was a very severe blast. A newly formed separatist group based in southwestern Baluchistan province has claimed responsibility of the blast. It has said a bank was the original target of the attack. Police has said they were investigating, saying it was premature to link this to Pakistan Super League. 20 cricket tournaments are scheduled to start in a week or so. Baloch separatists have been fighting a low-key insurgency against the Pakistani government to demand a greater share in the local mineral-rich resources. They usually attack government interests or Chinese projects in the province bordering Afghanistan and Iran, but an attack in a city like Lahore is rare. China is involved in the development of the Gwadar port in the Arabian Sea and other projects in the province as part of a 60 billion China-Pakistan economic corridor, which is itself part of Beijing's Belt and Road Initiative.
Hong Kong health worker on Wednesday, January 19, in personal protective suit, went into pet shop to carry out a mass kill of hamster over COVID-19 fears. After tracing a coronavirus outbreak into a worker in a Little Boss pet shop, where 11 hamsters subsequently tested positive for COVID-19. Scientists around the world and Hong Kong Health Veterinary Authority have said there was no evidence that animal plays a major role in human contagion with the coronavirus, but having pursued a policy of zero tolerance for COVID-19, Health Secretary Sophia Chan has announced on Tuesday, January 18, she could not rule out any transmission possibility, and therefore the government could take no chances. Some 150 of the pet shop customers were also sent into quarantine, one resident says. It's not like every small animal is going to be infected, right? And they all have their own life. They should not be killed just like this. So I think it is really brutal and sad. Aside from ordering the cull, authorities have asked dozens of pet shops to close, while import and sale of small mammals were suspended. Buyers of hamster after December 22, 2021 were asked to hand them to authority for culling and not leave to them on street. A Hong Kong-based animal health expert has announced on Wednesday, January 19, that COVID transmission from pet to human in homes doesn't happen. After hamster from a pet shop in the city tested positive for the coronavirus, Professor Vanessa Bars said the culling of animals from warehouses and pet shops after an outbreak was a sensible public health protection measure, but that the fear of infection in homes was overblown. A volunteer says the government should not have made a hasty decision to kill all the hamsters and create panic in the public. Hamsters at home are in cage 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. If there is a virus infection, it is being transmitted by humans, not by the hamsters. So hamsters at home are very safe and they do not need to be sent here because people are worried that the hamster will endanger the safety of their families. About a dozen Hong Kong hamster lovers flocked into the entrance of a government facility on Thursday, January 20, with the aim of saving as many of the rodents as possible from a government mass court order laid down over COVID-19 fears. The hamsters are innocent. They cannot be sentenced to death because of the virus, said Ching Li, 18, who is part of the loosely organized hamster rescue group from social media. On Thursday morning, about a dozen residents brought their hamster to the New Territory South Animal Management Center in Sha Tin for culling, but volunteers intercepted most of them in an effort to take them in for safekeeping instead.
Waterfall in the Canadian port cities of Hamilton froze over as extreme weather hit the countries and eastern part of the U.S., leading to heavy snow, traffic jams, and flight cancellations. A footage shows Tiffany Falls and Sherman Falls in the province of Ontario had turned to ice. Traffic was snailed in Toronto, Canada's largest city, on Monday, January 17, as the snowstorm brought visibility to near zero short subway lines and left motorists stranded on local highways for hours. Buses were at a standstill, and passing pedestrians helped push cars up a street at the main commuters road in central Toronto. The region was predicted to get up into 2 feet of snow, and an extreme weather warning was in effect. Authorities asked residents to stay off the roads. More than 4,200 flights in the United States were cancelled or delayed for a couple of days. According to FlightAware, nearly 90,000 homes and businesses between Georgia and Maine lack electricity, according to poweroutage.us.
After the break, a look at all the latest sports news.
EAC News' audience is growing. Our YouTube channel has over 150,000 verified subscribers. To mark the milestone, we've received the Silver Creator Award from YouTube. It's given to channels with over 100,000 subscribers. YouTube CEO Susan Wojcicki says the award celebrates EAC News' hard work and incredible achievement. She says we brought a unique voice and style to the world, but have also created valuable connections and built a community along the way. The next milestone we're going for is 1 million subscribers, and we'd really like that Gold Creator Award. So if you're not already a subscriber, head to YouTube and search for EAC News. Subscribers get alerts when the daily Roundup is premiering and live events are streaming. Get all the latest breaking news and updates from Cambodia in English. The EAC News channel on YouTube. Cambodia made clear. If it's happening and you need to know about it, you'll get it all right here. EAC News brings you updates and breaking news in English across all of our platforms and channels. The EAC News app, YouTube, Facebook, Telegram, Twitter, and our website www.eacnews.asia. Join me, Andrew Barnes-Roberts, and the rest of the EAC News team every day on your favorite channels. EAC News, Cambodia made clear.
Sebastian Ogier has topped the timesheets as the 2022 World Rally Championship got underway on Thursday night in Monte Carlo.
Ogier, the 8 times and defending W, beginning with SS3, Rua Buell.
The decision to cancel tennis superstar Novak Djokovic's visa reveals the broad, godlike power Australia's immigration minister wields, a spokesperson for the Australian Lawyers Alliance has said on Thursday, January 20th, after an Australian court released its reasons for dismissing the player's challenge to his visa cancellation. The federal court has said Immigration Minister Alex Hawke revoked Djokovic's visa over reasonable belief that the star, who is not vaccinated against COVID-19, can be a risk to the community. The court also rejected the argument that there was no evidence that Djokovic had ever urged anyone not to get vaccinated, saying it was open to infer that the public could perceive that he was opposed to vaccinations, since he said he had not been vaccinated.
The judges are not saying we agree with Minister Hawke. We agree with his reasons. As the court points out, they're not considering the merits or the wisdom of the decision or seeking to impose their own decision. Their role was to rule on the lawfulness or the legality of the decision. And what they were being asked to do was to find that the decision was irrational or unreasonable. And in essence, what they've said is that whilst other people and other ministers and someone else in Minister Hawke's shoes might have taken a different view of it, their view was that his decision was within the law.
The case shows that Australian visa holders are vulnerable to ministerial power. The world number one was deported from Australia on Sunday night, 16th January. Just hours after the court had dismissed his efforts to stay in the country to play at the Australian Open, where he hoped to win a record 21st Grand Slam title. That followed an 11-day roller coaster involving 2 visa cancellations, 2 court challenges, and 5 nights in 2 stints at an immigration detention hotel where asylum seekers are held.
That is an enormous power to be exercised personally. Too broad. We would say, because it can lead to dangerous consequences. I think the consequence and I think the issue in the Djokovic case, which makes it different to cases, for example, where a person's visa is cancelled if they come to Australia for the purpose of, for example, inciting terrorism, or they come to Australia to incite violence, and they've got well-known racist views, and that's what they're coming to Australia for. Here, Mr. Djokovic was coming to Australia to play tennis, not to do a whole bunch of anti-vax rallies. And this is no criticism of the federal court, because it has explained its relatively limited role. But you could get a case where a person has particular views about a matter of controversy that the Australian government doesn't like, if that person's opposed to government policy, if they've got a track record of speaking about that issue. A minister could say, well, that person may be or might be a risk to the health, safety and good order of the Australian community. It's a very low threshold.
The Australian Lawyers Alliance were not surprised that the minister has this godlike power because it's so broad. The decision of the federal court for them was fairly straightforward. This points to the dangerous precedent value of the case. And secondly, what it shows is that when it comes to visa holders, they are vulnerable to a minister exercising their personal powers. This is the same with refugees and people who have criminal records. Particularly in the last 10 to 15 years, ministers have been increasingly using these personal powers to cancel people's visas. A 20-year-old star, Kieran Riley, has added his name to the likes of Matt Hoffman, Kevin Robinson, and Dave Myra after the young British BMX star landed a world-first triple flare trick in mid-January at the Asylum Skate Park in Nottinghamshire, England.
The 20-year-old from Newcastle first came to the attention of global BMX fans when he landed a 720 over a spine at Unit 23 in Glasgow when he was 11 and dwarfed by the bike he was riding. Over the last 12 months, he has positioned himself as one of the most exciting BMX prospects and is now part of the British cycling setup, who considers him one rider to watch out for at the 2024 Paris Games. It was not all plain sailing for Riley at Asylum Skate Park as a triple flare, where he managed 3 full back flips in a 180 degrees rotation at the end of a custom roll-in and ramp was landed after 13 days of riding and around 20 previous attempts, which shows just how determined he is. Riley, who first started trying the triple flare in May 2021, says he is constantly trying to progress the tricks he got or learn new tricks every time he rides. When you do a double flare, you're pretty much doing a double back flip and then spinning just at the end. For a triple, you literally add another flip before you drop your shoulder and turn. It's one of those tricks you can only attempt a couple of times because when you crash hard. He has mentioned that he couldn't have done it without the help from Red Bull, who assembled an amazing crew for him.
And now for a look at how the weather will be playing out tomorrow. And finally, a robot dog has been given new powers to work out how to walk over any terrain by combining what its sensors can see and what it knows about its surroundings, just like people or animals. The research by ETH Zurich effectively allows Animal, a four-legged robot dog, to move quickly over rough terrain while still taking care, a new trait for robots. Animal's legs provide unparalleled mobility when moving up and down stairs, climbing over obstacles, steps, and gaps, and crawling into tight spaces. It delivers reliable performance in harsh indoor and outdoor environments and through rain, splash water, wind, snow, and dust. Animal autonomously navigates complex multi-story environments. Once guided through the environment, the robot remembers every detail and finds the quickest route to perform its mission. During operation, the robot's system safely avoids obstacles and reliably moves over rough terrain. The team used deep snow as an example of when a robot's camera systems will produce a map of its terrain that doesn't work when the robot puts its foot down. Animal's control system allows it to prioritize its sense of touch over its visual perception. The team put the robot's ability to the test on a hiking route up Mount Etzel, which stands 1,098 meters above sea level in the Swiss Alps.
Like until now, like when the robot used perception, mostly they were just assuming that the map is always correct. So if there's a step in front, the robot like trusts the map and steps on it. But often when we go outdoors, this doesn't happen. Like when you go into the tall grass and those obstacles appear as kind of a obstacle, like steppable object for the robot. And then like if the robot always trusts it, we cannot like go into those areas. So in this paper, we kind of train the robot to be robust against these failures. So if you combine with the body information, we can recognize that the map here is wrong. And then then you only trust its body information. It's trained end to end, so the network gets both information and tries to estimate kind of a ground truth information. And during training, I randomized a lot for this exteroception so that the network kind of learned to smartly combine these two. The slope was quite steep, it was even hard sometimes for us, it was quite exhausting. But the robot could go over all of these obstacles and we didn't need to help the robot. This controller, the robot can go to like a area that is dangerous for the human, or like very far, like for example in a nuclear power plant or disaster area, like on the other planet surfaces. And I think this can open up possibilities for those applications.
It's hoped the new skill could allow Animal to be deployed anywhere too dangerous or inaccessible for people, including other planets. Hundreds of four-legged robots, many of them made by Hyundai-owned Boston Dynamics, are already in use, some in hostile industrial environments, including one performing survey work in Chernobyl and another working on a BP oil rig in the Gulf of Mexico. Thank you for watching the Daily Roundup on EAC News Channel. For more breaking news and updates, check out our website eacnews.asia or search EAC News on Telegram or at your favorite app store. More from the EAC News team tomorrow night at 8 p.m. We will see you then.